Hi, I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Movies, where I review the styles of movies that I love, the alternative, B-rated, cult-style flicks. This week's definitely alternative. This movie came out in 2011, and it was written and directed by Kevin Smith, produced by Jonathan Gordon, made by the Harvey Boys, and distributed by Smodcast Pictures and Lionsgate. Ladies and gentlemen, the very controversial Red State. The movie opens with a boy named Travis being driven to school but being held up because of a protest going on by a fanatical church. They are protesting the funeral of a gay man. Which right off the bat shows you this movie is based on the Westboro Baptist Church. There's another thing it's based on, but we'll get to that later. Because of this protest, Travis is late for school, but his teacher lets it go because of the fact that she is very much against this church led by Aben Cooper.
Even the Nazis think this guy's knuckin' futz.
I love when teachers find ways around swearing. Aben Cooper is played by the legendary Michael Parks. Rest in peace. Later, with his friends Jared and Billy Ray, Travis is being told about a woman that Jared found on an app strictly for people to hook up on. It's an older lady who wants to hook up with 3 teenage boys at the same time. It's funny that Kevin Smith wrote this into a script around 2010 that would later be released in 2011, considering Tinder didn't come out until like a year later. This lady lives out in the middle of nowhere, which is one of the many big reasons they shouldn't have done this. But on their way to the middle of nowhere, in the dark, with them drinking, they don't notice a car parked off the side of the road, and they sideswipe it. So if this isn't a clear-cut sign you should just turn around and go home, I don't know what it is. When they get out to assess the damage...
You got him real good.
Why was he parked there? Oh, okay, that makes more sense. But you kids really still should have exchanged info. That is the law. But they decide since the damage is already done, they might as well go have some fun. They move on to the woman's house anyway. Idiots.
She lives in a trailer?
That's not a total red flag that she lives in a trailer, but I will say her living in a trailer so far out in the middle of nowhere is a much bigger red flag. Plus the fact that she's 38 years old and she wants to get it on with 3 high school kids. Even in high school, I would have been like, this has got to be a setup. I'm going to end up as a lampshade in the basement of her boyfriend, Buford.
Duh!
You Jared?
Okay, that's the last red flag. I'm not trying to be mean here, but whereas I can't think of any woman hot enough to convince me to have a 4-way with 2 other dudes, especially 2 other dudes that I know very well, definitely not breaking that rule for her. Then we see the car that was sideswiped, pulling into the sheriff's station. It's not to make a complaint, it's the fact that that car belongs to the sheriff himself, Sheriff Winan, and he is played by Stephen Root. He's also married. Still, he wants his deputy to go out and find the kids that sideswiped his car.
It's a blue Volvo station wagon.
Now back to the trailer.
And I don't let no man in me unless he's got at least 2 beers in.
It's a weird rule. What's even weirder than that is that they really didn't notice that she just pulled the beers out of the fridge already opened. After they start chugging these beers, they go into her bedroom and start undressing. And then they also start passing out. But I can't feel too bad for them because these kids are dumb. Like seriously, they were just going to grow up to be really dumb adults. The kind of adults that get all pissed off and throw a fit because they went Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve and it's busy. Once they wake up, they've been taken to church.
Welcome, family.
Good evening. Good evening, Daddy.
You know, I've heard of churches going to extremes to get new members, but this is ridiculous. Aben Cooper gets up and preaches to his family, literally just his family, about how this country is going down the tubes because of homosexuality and the fact that we allow it to continue. Again, this is the stuff believed by the Westboro Baptist Church, which is also basically just a small church comprised of one family. And, you know, as a Christian, I agree that our country is going down the tubes, but I don't think I could narrow it down to just one reason. So now that he's done with that part of his sermon...
You mind taking the children out now?
Now take the children out? Once the kids are out of the room...
Would y'all like to see who we have to thank for the extinction of the human race? It.
Okay, Westboro has not gone this far. At least I hope not. He explains that they went on a gay chat site and lured this man there. Nowadays, they'd probably use Grindr. This poor actor who played this victim, while they were doing this scene, actually had a legit panic attack. But nobody did anything to help him, not because they didn't care, but they thought he was just doing a really good job acting. Which, sorry, but it came out well. But I will say this, Kevin, next time you're going to do a movie like this, where something like that's going to happen, get a safe word. Now, one of Kevin Smith's podcast partners, Ralph Garman, from their podcast Hollywood Babylon, he plays a character named Caleb, and he does the honors. I mean, that's one way to avoid a mess. Finally, Jared, who's in a cage on the pulpit, sees his friends.
Let us out of here! We didn't do anything!
Yeah, reason with some psycho-religious rednecks. That always works. They grab Jared, and he's protesting that he's not even gay.
You might be worse.
Oh yes, on that we agree. Stupid is way worse. If I had to narrow it down to one thing that's destroying our country, I would say it's stupid people. That I want to protest. I even have signs made up. I want to get a bunch of people and just start protesting against stupidity. Protests that basically state we need to take the dumb warning labels off of stuff and let nature run its course already. We'll all be standing there chanting, "You're here! You're dumb! Eat paint!" But that's not why they're going to kill him. Even though it's plenty of reason. No, they're going to kill him because he was willing to share a woman with 2 other men. And in their opinion, that's gay enough.
I don't want to die! You're already dead, sinner.
That, and I think in his opinion, he knows his daughter's a little mannish. But outside, the deputy coming by sees the blue Volvo he's been looking for. And it alarms him that it's on the church property. On their security camera, they are alerted that the deputy is there, so Aben goes outside to talk to him. And, of course, the deputy tells him about the accident that was reported.
I see you got a wagon over there with some damage that matches the description.
Yeah, explain that! He does. While Aben is outside explaining to the deputy that it must have been one of his granddaughters that got into that accident, inside the church, Travis and Billy Ray have gotten freed. Well, at least Billy Ray has. Travis is almost freed. But either way, this is a sign that you should use something better than saran wrap. Because he's panicking, Billy Ray runs off even though Travis is not completely freed yet. Billy Ray runs into the armory where all the guns are already loaded, even though anybody who knows pretty much anything about gun safety knows you don't do that. And Caleb follows Billy Ray. People do not feel bad. That kid's parents named him Billy Ray and allowed him to have that mullet. He was already dead inside. Problem is, though, outside, the deputy heard that.
Sheriff, I got shots fired inside of 5 points. Repeat after.
Yeah, maybe you should draw your gun or, get in your car and drive away because you're not going to take on a psycho redneck family by yourself. See? While the sheriff is trying to communicate with his deputy, Aben gets on the line and informs him that they've been watching his activities, coming out that way, parking in the middle of nowhere, which is close to them, and they even have pictures of his illicit affairs with these strange men, despite the fact that he is not only married, but he is an elected official.
You keep your queer hole shut, Sheriff.
Yeah, there's a dead cop involved. He can't just sweep that under the rug. Instead, he calls the feds. They get a hold of the ATF, and we see an Agent Joseph Keenan, played by John Goodman, being woken up very early in the morning. So it's fair to say this is definitely escalated. Since it's very early in the morning...
If you loved me, you'd make me some coffee.
I've said the same thing to my wife. And she does love me because she does make me the coffee. Despite the fact she doesn't drink any. Over at the church...
No, get it up!
Don't cry. This is just what Kevin Smith does. He gives Ralph Garman small parts in his movies. And Ralph Garman's okay with that because he knows he's not much of an actor. Aben, though, gives his daughter some comfort. That before Caleb died...
He sent them 2 devils to hell for to kill him.
Yeah, in case you weren't paying attention, there was only one. So, of course, as they leave, we see Travis starting to get up. This was a good plan of his. Go in there, lay next to him, pretend to be dead, too. Although it's kind of gross because he had to get himself bloody. Back at Keenan's...
No, sir. You're thinking of Fred Phelps and his family up in Kansas?
I think Kevin Smith put that line in there to establish that even though this was inspired by Westboro, it's not Westboro.
They're irritating, but they're not gun nuts like the Coopers.
So at least there's that. Now his supervisor gives him the order.
I know I'm low man on the totem pole, but are you sure that's wise at this juncture, sir?
His supervisor clearly doesn't like being questioned.
I'm saying that our history with situations like this hasn't been exactly...
This was referring to the Waco, Texas siege, which is like the second half of what this is based on. First half, it's based on the Westboro Baptist Church. Second half, the Branch Davidian Waco, Texas thing. But Keenan is outranked.
It's dawn here now, but we can be fully mobilized and on site in an hour.
So here we go. Back to Travis. He can't find a way out. Good idea. Then again, he didn't really have any other options. But while running around, even though they're chasing him, he does find a way out of the church, and he's running through the compound. He's almost out! Whoa! And here I was thinking he was the lead. But here's the problem. It wasn't any of the church members that shot him.
Did he fire at us? No, he was armed. Did he open fire at us?
Yeah, that's definitely not good. Keenan points out that they didn't want to go this route because there are kids inside.
Kids you just turned into hostages! I'm sorry.
Waco. Before he can cause any more trouble, Keenan tells the sheriff, just go in your car.
Now!
We also see that Kevin Pollak is in this movie.
Yeah, that's gonna...
But not for very long. So now a firefight!
Heavy with AKs and techs! I need backup now!
But his supervisor is worried about bad media coverage. Like Waco. So, he gives an order that Keenan doesn't like.
I'm gonna want something in writing to protect myself and my field office!
Is he supposed to fax you there?
Either I get a text, or an email, or something official I can stand behind, or it's no good!
Okay, that's more doable. In the midst of this gunfight, one of the girls inside, Cheyenne, comes out to talk to the agents.
There's kids in there and I want to get them out.
But the orders have come down that this is now considered a domestic terrorist cell, and they are to completely clear it.
It's the wrong move, Joe!
This is basically the argument of Waco, Texas. The ATF swears that this is not what happened. The few survivors swear that it is what happened. The people in the town and neighboring towns of Waco, Texas, they're divided. But Cheyenne is pleading. Didn't even get him a couple of beers. That's Cheyenne's mom, by the way. And Cheyenne tells her mom that they are going to kill everyone.
And I'll be in heaven with Galen.
And this is why you cannot reason with religious terrorists. She tells Cheyenne to get on her knees and pray for forgiveness. But instead, Cheyenne goes to free Jared and get his help. Even though that makes no sense. Like, what was he supposed to do? Her plan is that if she can get Jared out to the agents, that since he's not a part of them and he is a witness to their atrocities, they can just be convinced to arrest everybody, not kill everyone.
We do that and they can't kill the babies.
I don't think you're quite grasping what's going on here. While Jared is thinking about it...
Give me some sweet tea, will you?
Can I have some? Don't y'all judge me. Sweet tea is delicious. And I imagine that sweet tea made by a bunch of southern, fanatical, religious, terrorist bigots is probably the bomb! But as she's getting his tea...
Get away from me, you idiot!
Your dad's kind of waiting on his tea. Cheyenne tries to reason with her mom.
I can't kill the baby!
She failed. The ATF gets into the compound, but the sheriff is still safely in his car. Never mind. Then Keenan gets in. And he shoots Kevin Smith's wife! When they reach Cheyenne and Jared...
No!
Saw that coming. But suddenly... What was that?
He's calling us home!
Really?
The one true God comes to rapture his faith!
Yeah, I doubt if the rapture were to happen that you're going.
Four trumpet blasts, the seals have been opened. and the horsemen dispatched.
Obviously, I don't like the character of Aben Cooper, but man, Michael Parks is rocking the crap out of this performance. Suddenly, it cuts to a council, and Agent Cooper is talking about the incident to his superiors.
I subdued the suspect with a headbutt.
And from there, they just arrested the remaining church members. On the record, they were happy that Agent Keenan was able to wrap this up peacefully.
Off the record, you disobeyed a direct order from a superior, Joe.
But they have good news for him.
I'm getting promoted?
They also inform him that the living members of the church are incarcerated and will be incarcerated for the rest of their lives without trial. Because according to the Patriot Act, if you kill somebody in the name of a religion, you are a terrorist and they can lock you up for life.
If it's all so easy to put these people away for life, why was I given those orders?
The answer is because they could. As far as the trumpet blasts, the neighbors of the church, basically people on just the outskirts of their property, were an eco-collective commune, hippies, growing pot, and they were being harassed by the church. So as a way to get back at them, they downloaded some trumpet blasting and got a big old firehouse siren that the firehouse was throwing out anyway. And they blasted the trumpet to make the church think they were being raptured as a prank.
And they had no idea that you were even there.
It's just dumb luck.
But see, I'm having trouble buying that they were close enough to blast this trumpet, yet far enough to where they couldn't hear any of these gunshots. But whatever. The original ending was way more ridiculous. Get to that in a minute. But as far as Aben goes, he's still preaching.
Of all forgiveness to set you free.
So there you have it. That's the 2011 Kevin Smith cult classic, Red State. This movie didn't have a lot of box office success, as it had the small budget of $4 million and only did about $1.8 million in the box office. However, it has since very easily made its money back through DVD and streaming services. But I wouldn't say it's like a big, huge mega cult hit. But a cult hit. Kevin Smith made a profit. That's good enough. And as a fan, I remember I didn't hear anything about it. I actually just saw it on Netflix, and it recommended it because I had earlier watched Clerks. That's how I found out of this. Because you watched Clerks, you might like Red State. Noticed it was from Kevin Smith. I was like, oh, I'm in the mood for a comedy. Didn't get one. This was actually Kevin Smith's first venture into making something other than a comedy. He even made it clear it was not going to be a comedy. It was going to be a straight-up horror film. And in my opinion, he did a great job. I mean, sure, it was a little controversial, but you know what? I applaud Kevin Smith for that because sometimes these controversial things, they need to be talked about. I did mention in the review that the original ending was much more ridiculous. According to Kevin Smith in Q&As that he's done, the original ending that he wrote, the rapture was actually happening. You were going to see the four horsemen descending on the earth, all the church members' heads were going to explode, and then one of the horsemen was going to look at Keenan in the face and go, shh. Cut to the end credits. He eventually decided to just do this instead. Probably one, because of budget restraints, and probably two, because it was ridiculous enough. One thing I applaud for, though, is whereas in most movies, especially horror films, you have that lead who you know from the beginning is going to be the one that makes it to the end, this movie didn't have that. There was no real lead. There were just main characters. Like in the beginning, you're made to believe that Travis is the lead, and he's going to be the one that somehow survives until the end. And he doesn't. So from there, you kind of think, okay, maybe it's Jared that's going to be the one that survives to the end. And he doesn't. The ones that survive to the end, besides the bad guys, is an agent that appeared halfway through the movie. The film itself gets mixed reviews. And oddly enough, this is one of the times that if you go on certain websites like Rotten Tomatoes, the critics give it higher praise than the audience. Which I understand, though, just because, again, this is the kind of topic that people are going to get mad about simply for talking about it. In my opinion, it is those who are going to get over that, the fact that this is offensive, this is a little touchy, and just keep watching it, that are going to get it. I was also happy with the cast. I mean, Michael Parks, again, rocked this character. His performance in this movie is so good. Not good enough to where you like Aben Cooper, just good enough to where you're like, man. And the thing was, Kevin Smith wrote the part specifically for Michael Parks. So much so that he had said that if Michael Parks had turned it down, then he wasn't going to go through with the movie at all. He was not going to get anybody else to play Aben Cooper. It had to be Michael Parks. Good for him. Especially because Michael Parks is no longer with us. But hey, it started a relationship with them because Thanks to this, Michael Parks was in Tusk. And we know I like that movie. Other almost casting decisions. The part of Agent Keenan, originally Kevin Smith considered Samuel L. Jackson, which would have been cool. He also at one point wanted Alan Rickman to do it, and Alan Rickman was willing to, but the problem was it conflicted with him filming one of the Harry Potter movies. And of course he was going to do Harry Potter over a little low-budget movie called Red State. But hey, they still got a great legendary actor to play the part, and he did a very good job at it too. I personally am also impressed with this movie, considering not only is it a low-budget movie at $4 million, it's not a huge budget, but the special effects, which they did pretty well on, he only had $5,000 to do that with. So good for him. The funny thing about the controversy of this movie was the Westboro Baptist Church that half of the movie is based on did get wind of it, and of course, they went and protested the premiere at Sundance. And Kevin Smith, being the way he is, he decided to do a counter-protest with him and his fans. So you had one side, Kevin Smith, protesting against the Westboro Baptist Church. You had the other side, the Westboro Baptist Church, protesting against Kevin Smith. But the thing was, is Kevin Smith said that even though they were protesting him and they didn't like what he was doing, surprisingly, they are actually very nice people. They just have views that he doesn't agree with. And he invited them to the premiere, which several of them did show up to the premiere, but they left 20 minutes into the movie because they said it was, quote, filthy. Which I can't argue about them with that. It was a filthy movie. But you know what? It was a good filthy movie. And apparently Quentin Tarantino agreed, as he's gone on record to praise this movie many times. So, as far as this movie goes, checking it out, if you're a very sensitive person when it comes to topics like this, stay away from it. But if you're somebody like me agrees that these topics do kind of need to be talked about, need to be discussed, then I definitely recommend you check out the movie Red State. In my opinion, not only is it a very good movie, but it really sucks you in. You get to the point that you can't take your eyes off of it for a second, because you feel like you might miss something. So there you have it, that's my movie review this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications when I post new videos, and leave a comment. If you've seen Red State, tell me what you thought of Red State. Love you guys.